Hello and welcome to the Positive Success Show. I'm your host, Dominique Narciso, and I have very special guests with me tonight. They are Mother Wilde, and they're a collective of 6 mothers from around the world, united by their love for creating community, mothering themselves and mothering their children, and also having dance parties and showing up authentically. I'm so excited to have all of you ladies here. It is so amazing, and this is a first for me. So a multi-interview, but such a great honor to be in your presence. Everyone before we started the interview, these ladies are just vibing off each other. Lots of positive energy, lots of stories behind stories behind stories, and just it's such a pleasure to have you all on the show today. Awesome. And so we have Corinne Miller, we have Carmela, we have Anjali and Tasha. And just to give a little background story of how I came into contact with Mother Wilde, Corinne and I, we lived near each other here in South Korea, and she invited me to this retreat. I had never gone to a retreat before because I'm like, no, I have to get things done. I have so much to do in my business. And thankfully, she invited me over, and I met Carmela, who is just another beautiful soul. And that is where this whole relationship began. And all I have to say is, after that retreat, it inspired me. I guess this is so crazy, like full circle. It inspired me to start a podcast. And here we are. So that creative, awesome, entrepreneurial energy that you get from the people that you surround yourself with, this is where it all starts. And this is why I do the work that I do, is that I get to meet amazing people that go after their dreams. And this is exactly what these ladies have done, on top of being mothers, on top of playing all the roles that they play in their life, and still making their dreams happen. So I would love to learn from one of you. Just raise your hand and unmute your mic. What is the origin story of Mother Wilde? How did you all come to be? Where did it start? Let us know. Carmela.
Okay, I'm happy to start. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we inspired the start of a podcast. My God, when women come together, magic happens. Like, this is magic. So we want to just first pat you on the back for giving us like such an incredible introduction. I think it's the first time we hear with an official voice, this is what it probably would sound like to go on radio or like have a TV presenter present like. You must have had to do so much work to condense it to like just one line. This is what they do. So congratulations on top of everything else you do. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to redirect towards Anjali just so we all take a deep breath, listeners and ourselves included, just so we kind of are here. Is that okay?
Oh, I would love that. Hi, I'm Anjali, and one of our little rituals before we jump on a Zoom call, or if we have any FaceTime calls that we have, are to take 3 deep breaths together.
Not before, on it. We're together when.
Exactly. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're not driving. If you're driving, please keep them open. And if you're able to do so, bring your fingertips up to your temples and give them just a gentle rub as you take your first deep inhale in through the nose and a loud sigh out through your mouth. Bring your fingertips to the top of your scalp, work them in there. Take your second deep inhale and a loud sigh out through your mouth. And bring those fingertips to the base of your skull, to the back of your neck. Release any tension that you have there. Just give it some love. And let's take our third deepest inhale in through the nose. And a loud sigh out through the mouth. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali. And Dom, I'm sure you're going to notice it. We go way off tangent, but we do come back to the original question at some point in the storytelling. But I'm happy to tell the original or the origins of it. Although I feel like it's like someone like asking you like, so tell me about like, how did you have kids? And you're like, kind of remember, but it's kind of blurry. It's kind of that. I mean, there is definitely a progression of things and things that happened and cross-pollination and voila. But and I feel like every time I tell it, there's like a different entry point. But I think it all started from taking a course with Martha Beck, and then I was offering. No, I think I was already doing the Online Mama Village. The Online Mama Village that you joined, Dom. Just gathering just whatever friends were willing to just join for 6 weeks just to chat. And then I wanted to offer like a team thing for the master Martha Beck community, and they weren't really interested. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to turn around and just give it to the moms that I've been working with anyways. And I feel like there's a bigger idea that was floating. Liz Gilbert just says like, it's just looking for able bodies to be like, who's going to birth this one? And I think it was just like, oh, clearly these moms are underslept and they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They're perfect. And so I think it just, when there's, you're just a puppet of, you're just, divinity just came through us, I think, to come together. And we did this mastermind. And seriously, I just pointed, and then these ladies were like, fuck yeah, what? Sorry, we're not supposed to swear. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to have a couple of those. I may have a couple of.
Warning to the listeners, just listen, keep listening. Make sure if you have kids in the car or kids in the room, have them put their earphones on.
Yes. Okay, wash mouth. But they were just, let's do this. Let's keep going. And I've just seen firsthand what happens when just incredible beings with a common, it's just like a flock of birds that have no words. Like we know there's a migration to be taken there. We know there's a general direction to go, and everyone just shows up. That's all we did was show up repeatedly. And Anjali kept saying this, and it really has resonated of just the act of seeing each other regularly. It just grew the bond stronger and stronger, even though I was like, oh, they're moms, they have so much to do. It should be limited and like tiny pockets. And yet like the more things that happened, the more we just showed up and leaned in and we're like, okay, I'll do this, you do this. And then, life happened. One gave birth. I lost my dad. There's just these massive life events that happen. And yet everyone just like, all right, you drop out. I'll, you fly at the back, I'll fly at the front. And somehow it just worked out delightfully. And then I would love to pass the baton to one of the other ladies to talk about the mother virtual retreat and the mother monthly. So whoever wants to step up, maybe Tasha next for mother virtual retreats, and then maybe Karin for the monthlies. I don't know. I'm just suggesting here.
Sure, I'm happy to jump on. And I would just want to go back a bit and say, so we first started gathering for her course in February 2020, and then we all know what happened in that time frame, and we were all moms thinking like, oh, we can meet for an hour once a week, no big deal. And then all of us went into lockdown, but it was incredible. It was like the more that we leaned into each other and sort of creating time when there was no time for ourselves and for our connection, the more spaciousness we all started to have, the more sort of creative flow that we all started to have. And through that, some really incredible ideas were born, some incredible bad ideas were born. Like we just started really having fun. And life started to feel a lot lighter in a time when otherwise is quite heavier for all of us, certainly, and certainly for mothers taking care of small kids. And in September, I think it was, or maybe the end of August of 2020, everybody's been in lockdown, moms are carrying a heavier load than ever, navigating so much, and really like the shock absorbers for their families too, as they're kind of moving through these transitions. And she says, I think we should do a virtual retreat for moms. And at this point, none of us had like really any idea of what this would look like. I hadn't started to see this, developing in other platforms or anything like that. And I think we should do it in 10 days or 11 days or whatever it was. And all of us were like, okay. And that's kind of the way that we have worked together, was just like somebody will come with an idea or a passion or a dream. And it's always kind of like how can we make this work? How can we realize this? And more importantly than accomplishing something, how can we do this in a way that feels delightful and generative? And so, yeah, so September, I think I'll just say September 1st, the idea was born September 11th, 12th, sometime around that. We had our first virtual retreat that went, I think took place over 3 or 4 days, gathering, moms from all over the world, bringing on incredible speakers that we had admired from afar, through their writing or different movement practices, and just tried to set it up so in bite-sized amounts so that moms could just take little space, carve out little space, and build a connection within and with each other. And the result was just incredibly affirming, and also just like, man, we're going in the right direction, because we got so much feedback from moms saying, thank you for helping me carve out the space, thank you for creating this. And also like that ripple effect of more ideas were generated and more ideas were born, and women, you could see mothers feeling lighter and more inspired. And I will pass it on to, because I will ramble forever. So I need the stop button.
Your rambles are absolutely beautiful, Tasha. They're never rambles. But I will finish. I would just explain a little bit about Mother the Mother Monthly. So I think it was just a continuation of the retreats. We started building that community and that connection, and then the retreat stopped. So we launched Mother the Mother Monthly in April, and the same kind of concept of just like bite-sized chunks where we got to connect with each other and support each other and learn interesting stuff together. Because overall, like, our biggest goal and what feeds us most is creating this community and that connection. And then I might pass on to Anjali to talk about Mother Wilde, the book.
Thank
And
you, Karen.
Dawn, we may let you talk at some point.
And so I remember at one point in late 2019, Carmela's like, how would you like to be part of writing a book where you just write a sentence? And I was intrigued. I was like, what kind of book is this going to be? And as we joined together from a mastermind, we had a month focused on writing. And one of the prompts was talking about our adventures that we had taken and the dreams that we had for adventures we wanted to take. And with all of us being so international, I mean, we just got the best stories. We should have really recorded that call, because there were some juicy tidbits. And one thing we all noticed was the vitality that came through in these conversations and these recollections, and the sheer enthusiasm that we all felt for having future adventures individually and together. So our book really was born from this idea of like, what about reawakening the dreams that mothers have? And sometimes mothers, with the best of intentions, put their dreams on the back burner in the name of their children, their spouses, their lifestyle, their career, whatever it is. And we just felt like it would be a real shame if we didn't do our part to help bring those dreams to the forefront. And so we started writing and went through a process of dreaming, really. And then we started dreaming even bigger, because since there were 6 writers, we decided, why would we just have one illustrator when we could have multiple illustrators? So we reached out through Instagram and found just a whole collective of incredible artists from all over the world with all different artistic styles. And so putting this book together has been a labor of love. And to top it all off, we had our Kickstarter in the month of March, which was an absolutely incredible experience. And we felt so supported, and we're so grateful for everyone who believed in our dream and believes in us. And so we are currently in the process of getting our book baby published, and it'll soon be launching. So that's what's got us pretty giddy right now.
Thank you, ladies. I mean, it's so what's the word? You all are so real with each other, and it's like the sharing the space and seeing each other. This is everyone that is either watching this or listening to this. There is good energy floating in between these ladies, you know, like just good energy all around, good vibes. And you see it. And what I love about what you all have said is that, you know, Carmela, it started with an idea, with a thought, you know, and for all of us, you know, that are in this coaching space, you know, anything that we want in life, it starts with a thought. And then you make it grow by having more thoughts about that thought. But what's so great, Carmela, is that you took your thought and you spoke it out loud and you shared it with others and you brought them into the fold. And, you know, through what I've just heard, it's like you've developed this movement that started with that initial thought.
Can I add to that? So yeah, thoughts go, I mean, we have so many thoughts lost in the ether of like, you know, child rearing. With when Tasha's like, I have an idea, we're like, stop everything, let her tell it before she like goes off, and we never get it back. So ideas are great, but I think it's just like the act of transcribing them. And there's like just writing is so essential in the like distilling what is happening in that area. And also I think it all comes down to like, when you really distill it, like everyone has, I can't remember which author said it, but there are like 3 stories we can keep telling over and over and over, and everyone is captivated. But I think it was like something around like, I'm totally making this up, but I think it was like love, death, and one more, that we, you know, it doesn't matter what era, what century, what people, like we're all going to tell those stories over and over and over and over again. And I think in the process of writing the book too, it's like, I remember Anjali, we had all like captured all the adventures that all these mothers had dreamed of. And I think when we distilled it, it was just like, oh wait, if you remove like Bali and like Thailand and like all these locations and just like distill it down to like the feeling, it's all kind of the same. Like we're all wanting the same things if you really like quiet down. And so I think we all have the same brilliant ideas. It's just the collective really made them bloom, and just having the confirmation of like, oh, I'm not the only one who's thought this, you did too. Yeah, so idea, transcribe, share, and then it's nothing if without your tribe and without your wolf pack and without just constant like, I can't handle it right now, can someone else pick up? And then having a wolf pack being like, no problem, we got this, you go and come back when you can. So there's definitely that spirit of, you know, give what you can and take what you need.
And there's so much, thank you, Carmela, and there's so much energy in that. And I want to say with the listeners or the viewers is that when you do have an inspiring thought or creativity is flowing through you, to, yes, first write it down. But then if you feel like you need that support, find the people that are going to support you. And what I love is that you organically let it happen. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing or what we're doing, but we're going to make it happen. It's going to happen. And so I think that's what's so powerful about your stories is that you just made it happen. You made, and I'm going to cuss for the first time, you made shit happen. And that's so great. You made it happen. So applause, applause to all of you. Carmela like threw her phone. No, and so I think in all the metaphors, you know, your metaphor of the flock, and can someone elaborate more on that? Because I think especially as women and as entrepreneurs, you know, trying to put our thoughts and ideas and projects out there, our dreams out there, you know, we got to have that support. So can you elaborate more on that? Because I think that's a great image about what it takes to be not just successful, but to be held and to be supported in your journey.
Tasha?
Oh, I feel like Karen. I need Karen to hear her voice on this. Absolutely.
No, I think, and it might be going a little bit off tangent, so Tasha, you can bring it back. But when you said that, the first thing is like, I think like in my own personal projects, because I feel so supported and held by these ladies, it just gives me that extra level of confidence, whether it's something I'm doing with them or without them. And I don't, you know, like you have friends and you have coworkers and that, but like what we have here is so much deeper and stronger and supportive that, yeah, it's magical. I mean, that's just, I feel like I can do so much more because I know I've got these people who are going to have my back. And yeah, and in the flock analogy, I'll maybe let Tasha or Anjali or Carmela dive in with that.
I'll probably butcher it because it's getting late for me, so my brain starts to turn, especially to mush. But actually it's an analogy that Carmela really led into this, course that originally brought us together. That has really stayed with us and buoyed us throughout it. It's this idea of we're flying in a flock, and when you have the energy or the drive or the inspiration to lead it, like you go up to the front. There's no jockeying. It's just we trust each other. We have a foundation of trust and support. And also when you need to fall away because life gets busy, something happens, you're just tired, whatever it may be, you fly to the back and you can trust equally that somebody else is going to come to the front and help us get where we need to go. There we go. The words are kind of stumbling. And I think we hear a lot about a support, or in parenting, the idea of a village. But I will say, in my parenting experience and my experience as a woman so far, this is absolutely the most held I've ever felt, and really embodied. Each of us really come to it with one of our core principles is friendship first. We're really invested in each other's well-being, and also because of that, like we show up for each other, but we also show up for ourselves in a way that I think is sometimes difficult to do, especially when you have a lot of pressures or things pulling you in a lot of different directions. And being able to trust that, like, we're going to get there, has also, I can say for myself, really made me fall in love with the process as well. It's not about an end goal. It's really like, how am I growing? How am I finding my edges? How am I discovering a skill that I didn't know I had, or how am I discovering, something that I'm interested or curious about? And equally, how can I help unearth this for the person next to me? It's made it playful and fun, kind of like being a kid, and we move away from that because there's so many constructs and pressures that, say that we need to do things in a certain way. And I really believe that this is the way forward, is to find not only your support system, but people who really, want here we go. Somebody take over for me because my words are getting mushy. But I think in particularly when you're also raising small children, you need people who are there to really like raise and elevate you as well.
Can I ask a question for Anjali? Now I'm raising my hand. So Anjali, earlier you had mentioned prior to us starting the interview how you all gel together and work together. I'd love to learn more about how do you make that happen? Like for the listeners, like how do you find those people, and like and what is this new way that Tasha was just touching upon? Because I think what you have here, this collective, this collaborative, truly is potentially a new way to like think about how to approach life and approach work and approach parenthood and all the complexities of modernity.
Mhm. You know what's really wonderful? That is a fantastic set of questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And one of the things was, in the course of this mastermind, we would record videos. We'd upload them to Facebook in a private group. And then whenever everyone got a chance, or because we're all on different time zones, we would comment on these videos. So it's a bit like a diary entry. So we got to know each other quite intimately, and we got to see each other throughout the span of 6 to 7 months at a time, where I think we really started distilling what everyone's strengths were. And we got to know each other in a way that I think, in part, there's nothing like a global pandemic to bring you closer together, because we all had this very impactful experience going on in our lives. Although we all lived in different places, we were able to come together and support each other. And I think it came from this genuine sense of getting to know one another and caring deeply about, like Tasha said, each other's well-being. So that was one of the things. But I think something else that came up and has happened as time has gone on was us creating a new model of what success looks like. So it wasn't something so much that could be measured externally, but rather the quality of the feeling we had when we were dreaming, when we were coming up with good ideas and bad ideas, the way we cheerlead each other and empower each other. Side note, I feel like we got really, really lucky with this collective, but I know there's so many wonderful, amazing people out there. But I feel like Carmela really just like was this magnet who brought us all together, and then we've all co-created this. But I also think that our new version of success is something that honors us in terms of our values, you know, our personal values, our group values, and also something that Karin has brought to the table is kind of honoring our cycles too. So we share the leadership depending on how we're feeling, how much energy we have, how much we have on our plates, what's happening. We've got moves happening within the group, babies being born, you know, all sorts of things that come up and that are just a part of life. And I think we've taken a very relaxed approach to it all. And we try and operate in a more feminine way because I think it just feels a little bit lighter, a little bit easier. And one of the things I'd like to add for how we define success is also the fact that we remind ourselves, or often I remind the group, that we make our own rules. Like, we're not doing this to please anyone else or for anyone else. We're doing this for ourselves. And whenever things get either too heavy or too stressful, normally the recommendation is to take things away, take things off your plate. But I firmly advocate for more pleasure and more rest as an antidote to the stresses of modern day life.
Love it. Wow. No, thank you. Thank you for that. And it's just, I mean, as I'm listening to all of your statements, your stories, everything, it just flows so well. And it's such an honor, really, again, to be part of this energy that you have. And it is magical. And I kind of envy it. I'm like, oh man, I need to get into this group. I need to get with you.
Welcome. You're in.
No, it's great.
You're in.
Done.
It's beautiful what you've created, and it's only just the beginning. Really, it's just the beginning. You know, like all of the challenges and all of the uphill battle, like you're learning as you're doing. But I really honor that, because as a person that loves seeing people grow, you're doing it and you're modeling it and you're showing it in a way that, hey, you don't have to have all your stuff figured out. You just have the intention, the direction, and you go and you bring people with you, and then you just see what happens. So I love that about your story and about Mother Wilde and just everything about it. So question for each of you, and you decide who goes first. What is one lesson or one piece of advice that you would love to impart on a mother out there, or even not a mother, but like a father, anybody, any parent that has these big ideas, but feel like their plates are so full, but want to reawaken their dreams? Anjali.
I haven't had enough yet. So I would say the biggest thing is to take exquisite care of yourself. That is the biggest thing, because that is something you can control. That is something you have the power to make time for. And your well-being matters. It matters hugely. And the second thing I would say, if I'm allowed to add to that, is to nurture your most important relationships. Because at the end of the day, I think that is one of the most important things that we have in our life are the relationships. So two things, the things you can control, right? So take fabulous care of yourself and nurture those important relationships.
I have to follow on that from Anjali, because I think she's a great teacher in that. Because I think it's also like to go, like I said this before, go easy on yourself. And it follows on from what you're saying, because typically I'm a very driven person and I have many things that I want to achieve. But Anjali especially really brought me back to, like, at the end of the day, like, how do you want to feel? You know, like you're trying to achieve all these things because it's the feeling that you want to create. And there are much more pleasurable, simpler ways that you can do that. And I'm not saying don't strive for things, but I think as mothers, we do have a lot on our plates, and sometimes we do have to drop a couple of balls, and our mental dialogue might take us to a place where, you know, we're frustrated ourselves because we're not doing all the things we want to do. But, you know, in terms of, like Anjali said, about nurturing relationships too, like you've got to nurture the relationship with yourself. You've got to be kind to yourself, and then you can create these spaces to be able to, you know, do these projects and do other things, and mother in a way that you see fit. But I know I jumped around a bit there, but I got all excited by what Anjali said.
I'm always so excited by everything you guys say too. And I would add, not that there really needs, I mean, I think that's the essence of it, but you know, we really have learned to like just to show up first, primarily for yourself. And sometimes that means not showing up, because first I need to show up for myself. But just how you can, in a way that's authentic, you know, and show up for those connections, you know, the people that you admire, even from afar. I would say that was one of the biggest lessons this year. Sometimes all it takes is reaching out to somebody and letting them know how their work inspires you. Because just making that coach, they may respond, they may not respond. I've gotten responses. What was it? I mean, my hero is Jennifer Rudolph Walsh, and I got like really brave and invited her to one of our events, and she declined so gracefully. And it was like the best feeling just to have like had the courage to reach out to this person I admired, and she responded in like this very gracious way. And it was just like, man, you know, me a year ago, I wasn't there in my process. I don't think I would have had the nerve. And yeah, the last little thing is just like, yeah, I think honoring and enjoying the process, because when we talk about like the feeling state too, like the feeling we carry through the process is really valuable as well. And that's where all of the meat happens. And since Carmela's not here, I want to share one more that she shared with us that I really, reflect on all the time. And is that the idea of like, we shine brighter in constellation, right? So, you know, when we can cast a light on someone else, it elevates us as well too. And I really do think that is a feminine form of leadership too, is to really recognize that there's more than enough for all of us. And we shine bright when we do it together.
So good. I hope whoever's listening is writing some notes down and, you know, taking, you know, just getting inspired by these ladies, because you all are inspirations in yourself, but then collectively, just like you were saying, Tasha, it's a constellation, right? Maybe you're creating you don't even know, you're creating a galaxy or another universe, right? The multiverse. But just the energy that you're putting forth and trying to inspire other mothers around the world to continue chasing their dreams is truly an inspiration. And I'll be watching out for you ladies. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like on Oprah or, you know, some other, oh my God, I'm like, remember me? No, but it truly is incredible what you're all doing. So how do folks get in touch with you? What is the best way to become part of the collective? What's the first step, and how do they get started?
Tasha, you pointed, but I'm not sure where I am on your screen. You pointed at Anjali, but I was like, I think she's pointing at me. I think that the you know, at our website is probably the best place, and our Instagram. So both are We Are Mother Wilde would be the best way to reach out to us.
Excellent. So there you have it, folks. We Are Mother Wilde. So it's at We Are Mother Wilde on Instagram. And I'll have these on the show notes, and also wearemotherwilde.com, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So make sure you connect with these ladies. They're amazing, amazing energy. I actually attended the virtual retreat in September, and I was like, this is brilliant. They should totally keep doing this, because it's a space that's needed, and you all bring your different energies to it too. And it's so that in and of itself is such a treasure. Any final words for the listeners out there? I know we've chatted a lot, and this could be ongoing forever because there's so much depth here. I'll give you the last word, and then we'll close up, and hopefully you all sign up for their Mother the Mother Monthly, and also check out their book that is going to be published in June, correct? June,
maybe.
Maybe.
That's what we're shooting for.
You're following them on Instagram, so you can get your pre-order, your pre-copy.
Mhm.
Any last words, ladies?
I wanted to say this because our two gorgeous mamas who are in Europe are sleeping while we record this interview, but we have Anna in London, who's originally from Sweden, and this woman is an absolute powerhouse and an inspiration and such a strength. And when we would do our Facebook videos, she would take us out for walks. She was walking while she was 8 months pregnant, and she'd take us out for her walks, and it was just so inspiring to hear the way she viewed all these things. She's just someone who can look at things very clearly while the rest of us are all talking. She'll just chime in and drop some wisdom, and it's amazing. Like, we wouldn't be who we are without her. And then we have Karin Hesselvick, who's in Amsterdam, and she's also from Sweden originally. And she is like a big picture dreamer. She always reminds us to like come back to the dreams. And I feel like with her around, she gives us this visual imagery that's kind of taking our words, our thoughts, our ideas, and putting them into something that's just artistic and lovely. And so I feel that we're really fortunate to have this complement of women who bring so much to the table. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out for everything they've contributed to.
Thank you.
We got Carmela back in here. Carmela, I was just saying, any last words? I love that you popped back in. It's great.
We have a mantra: charge the fucking the trucking phone.
This is evidence of you just keep showing up. You just keep showing up as best you can.
Corinne, I think you wanted to say something. You're about to say something.
Oh no, I was just going to say that was perfect timing because it was last words and Carmela started us, and so it seems fitting that Carmela finishes us. Not in that negative way.
Oh my gosh, such a pleasure, ladies. I wish you all just the best and pure energy, like anything that I can send your way, good thoughts, positivity. I'll always be, I'm a fan already and will continue to support your work. And so anyone that is listening, please make sure that you follow them at We Are Mother Wilde on Instagram. And if you could send them a message, let them know what you learned or how they inspired you. It's really great to get that feedback because they're going to need it. They're going to need that energy from you so then they can continually build and grow this vision that they have to reawaken the dreams of all mothers around the world. So give them some love, send them a message, send them a DM, connect with them. Thank you, ladies, so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you for
so
having us.
much.
This was such a pleasure. Thank you.
Remember to be bold, be positive, and take action every day. See you next week.